Very concerning indeed. While this weekend, as the world has been marking International Day of Education 2026, the spotlight turns to children in Africa's rural communities still fighting for access to learning. Through powerful storytelling and grassroots action, organizations like ART and the African Child for Education and Social Development are working to ensure every child, no matter where they live, has the opportunity to learn, dream and reach their full potential. For more on this, let's now extend a very warm welcome to Dr. Khadijah Abdullahi-iya, who's the founder of Women Community in Africa. Doctor, it's such a pleasure. Welcome. So I think that was such a great example of what we're about to discuss on this topic, right? Welcome. I mean, such an important initiative, this one, in trying to bridge the gap in equality of Africa's rural children who still remain marginalized, as you saw in that clip, and discriminated against their right to quality education solely because of their demographics and backgrounds. It worries me that stats indicate that well over 98 million children in sub-Saharan Africa remain out of school. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Alicia. Thank you for having me. Sorry, my internet is having a little problem. So how are you? Thank you so much. Can you see me now?
Yes, we can see you, Doctor. Go ahead. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah. So your question was?
I was asking, Doctor, that, I mean, it still remains a huge problem that, of course, the inequality of Africa's rural children who remain marginalized and discriminated against their right to quality education solely because of their demographics or where they come from. It worries me that stats are indicating that well over 98 million children in sub-Saharan Africa remain out of school due to these very factors.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me today, Alicia. It's a very it is a very painful matter in Africa to see, especially in Nigeria. In Nigeria, we have about 18 to 20 million children are out of school in Nigeria. And it is very sad and it is very painful. And it takes every one of us to begin to worry. And because of this out of school issues, it has caused a lot of problems that a lot of people do not even understand. The depth of it is what we see today, that we see children abducted. There are children soldiers there because we don't have enough schools to ensure that we don't have enough schools to make sure that these children are all in school. So I think that what is important is for us to be able to explore strategies. We need to begin to think differently. And like in 2019, during the 2019 elections, while we were electioneering in Nigeria, we thought that by now that this issue of out of school children would have been medicated. And it seems that it's getting worse. In 2019, it was about 10.5 million children out of school in Nigeria. Now is almost 18 to 20 million. So now what are the strategies that we should be looking at? Because we do know that the value of education can never be underestimated. And we also know that education stands as a cornerstone for national development. And if we want to talk about the rural community, the rural space communities, it will also help to curb the migration that is coming from the rural space communities to the center. Because if we're able to develop education the way it's supposed to be, it can be a driver for economic growth. It can be poverty, and it can alleviate poverty, and it can also encourage social unity, because a lot of people will understand that being educated is not just, it is a necessity. It's not just for the sake of what it is. And solutions for me, first thing that comes to my mind is for us to be able to look at the digital economy now. We should look at the technological advancement and social advancement that we can begin to ensure that children can learn digitally. They can learn through TVs and all of those things. They can we can also explore community engagement, like ensuring that every community leader, the people at all the stakeholders that are involved in education are bring together, and
All right.
we are able to advocate and make sure that they understand the depth of it, so that they know that education for all ensures economic growth and human capital development. We also know that when more people are educated, the issue that we have with good governance and citizenship will be eradicated. So those are things that I can say on the top of my head quickly about the importance and the value that education will bring to our national development.
But first, to explore those digital means, Doctor, I mean, there needs to be digital infrastructure that needs to be brought to these rural areas. And we're hearing this is a persistent problem. But, Doctor, as a woman-centered organization, I'm sure you know firsthand the ripple as well as long-term devastating effects that this has, in particular on the girl child, right, who often has a life of no resources strictly due to their lack of access to quality education or education at all. And this comes in various ways, like some laws that some still perceive women as just homemakers. Some countries in the continent still have a policy of child brides. So this requires a complete mind shift. Does it not? Or how are we then advocating, or you as an organization advocating in that regard?
So thank you very much, Alicia, again, for this very beautiful question. Another thing that I would like to let you know is women community in Africa is our two very thematic areas is about gender-based violence, and it is also on women political participation. And we believe that if we want to get things right, if we want to advocate for literacy, if we want everybody to be, no child should be left behind, including especially children, girl children, we need to advocate more. We need to get to the rural communities. It is the reason, the ethos why we are what we are as women community in Africa. We have about 15 states commissioners, where we believe that when we have the structures at the state levels all over Nigeria and eventually in the 54 African continents, we'll be able to reach the rural space communities. So how do we now begin to, what are the things that we put, how do we address effectively this issue of ensuring that children are all taken along? Initially, I mentioned community-based interventions, engaging communities, the stakeholders in the communities, the chiefs, the families, and everybody. We encourage them. We encourage the children to go to school. So one of the things we did under the in our organization is that last year we were able to encourage this school feeding programs.
Doctor. Unfortunately,
one of the things.
Doctor, unfortunately, I'm going to have to cut you there as we were continuing with that great discussion. I'm out of time. We're going to have to leave it there. That is Dr. Khadijah Abdullahi-iya, the Women Community in Africa on education for rural children of Africa.